Let's get a better sense of what's going on in Chicago from MSNBC senior political and national correspondent Jacob Soboroff. So, Jacob, that sound we just played from Governor Pritzker was from your interview with him yesterday. Tell us more about that and what is happening there today.
I think you guys are right. Look, whether or not he wants to run for president of the United States, he is reflecting a real deep anger and I think disgust from a lot of the people here in Chicago at the images that you guys are talking about. So I want to play a couple things for you. One is a woman I met last night on Michigan Avenue here, and it ended up right outside the Trump building, which is over my shoulder. The organizers say 7,000 people came out spontaneously on Wednesday night. It was not a protest that was long planned. It was something that was called for yesterday morning. And in the course of that protest, I walked up to a woman named Bree, and I asked her why she was there. I want you guys to watch. Check it out.
What brings you out here? Let's walk in. We'll talk.
ICE is not welcome here. The National Guard is not welcome here. Crime is under control. Military occupation doesn't make our city safer. Resources and investment in community makes our city safer. And my family left Eastern Europe because of the pogroms, so I think community and collectivism would have helped at that time. So I think it's my job to protect other immigrants here.
And so why is somebody like Bree so angry? Bree is so angry because of the images that are coming out every day. You don't have to wait for the National Guard. There are masked, armed, heavily kitted up federal agents on the streets of Chicago and the Chicagoland area, literally roaming around, picking people up off the street, including a 53-year-old named Maricela, who literally has been in the United States for 30 years. She's from Mexico. She was walking to get meat to make a stew, and her daughter approached me. This is video of that happening. Her daughter approached me on the street the other day and said to me, I can't find my mom. And I said, well, I have some video of a woman that was taken around the corner. Can I show it to you? This is what happened. Watch the video.
I didn't know if you guys had a picture of her. I heard there was a picture of her somewhere, and my brother had it, but he couldn't send it to me through his phone.
He wasn't able to show you.
Yeah, he wasn't able to show me.
So I just want to make sure. This is the photo I showed you.
Yeah, that is her. That's her backpack right there, and that's her sweater. She always wears that sweater, and she looks so scared. And she wore that ponytail too. She knew it was cold today, and she always wears that blue sweater. Based off her facial expression, she looks ready to cry. And that saddens me because she just wanted to go to the store.
So it's stories like that that are bringing out people like Bree, some stories like Samantha's and Maricela's that are bringing out people like Bree. And there's definitely, I mean, this is escalating. This is not dying down anytime soon here, guys.
All right, MSNBC senior political and national correspondent Jacob Soboroff, thank you very much. That really brings it home.
It does. And Frank, we see polls, it seems, every week that come out that say most Americans, by a small margin, but a majority of Americans support what Donald Trump is trying to do on the border, support illegal immigrants being sent back home by 51, 52% to maybe. But then you ask, do you support how Donald Trump is implementing his immigration policies? And his support dips 10 points into the low 40s. And again, I understand a lot of this as far as hard base. Right. But it is deeply offensive to a lot of people who voted for him, who again, he promised he was going to do this. I'm not exactly sure what Joe Rogan and Andrew Schultz and all of these podcasting bros thought they were getting when the guy said there were going to be bloody deportations. But still, there are, beyond them, a lot of Americans who are just shocked by this. And I don't understand the political upside unless you just want to play to your really hardcore 40%.
I'm not sure he's thinking about this politically. I mean, I think this term is a replay of the first term, but without constraints. I mean, I think he grieved over the way in which the superego of the world constrained his id. This time it's the id unleashed. And you look at the confrontation with Pritzker, Trump wants this. This is all by design. You look at the way that Chicago is on the brink of combusting. That's his dream. I think that he looks back at the 2020 protest, the George Floyd protest, and he kind of is aching. He has ache over the fact that he didn't repress harder, that there was this chance to have this big confrontation with the left, and he didn't take advantage of it. And I think this time it's going to happen.
Dave, before we let you go, you've got a piece on Republican strategy, speaking of illegal immigrants, and it's all illegal immigrants all the time, making claims that just aren't true. I don't think illegal immigrants can't get Medicaid benefits, Medicare benefits, ACA benefits. There's a small slice of the Medicaid budget that goes to emergency services, 0.4%. And illegal immigrants get even a small slice of that. And that only happens because Ronald Reagan in 1986 said, we're not going to let hospitals lock people out of emergency rooms so they can die and bleed out in the bushes.
Right, and it was HuffPost finally asked Mike Johnson and John Thune, do they want to get rid of that law? And they don't want to. So the administration is continuing that funding. There are a couple problems with that messaging.
Well, but let's be very clear.
Sure.
If they said, I'm so glad to hear this, they said they don't want to get rid of the Reagan law.
No plan to.
That doesn't allow people to hospitals to lock out people, to let them die outside their emergency rooms, then they literally have no claim that illegal immigrants have anything to do with this shutdown.
Yes, this is the public opinion delta we're talking about too, because do Democrats have credibility on can you keep the border under control? They don't. Are there people who listen to Trump, and there were passport deportation now signs of the convention? It was not very subtle, but did they listen to Trump and think, well, he's going to deport the criminals I hear about, he's going to deport the fentanyl dealers, but not these crying mothers and these children? Yes, and those stories, you have an administration, people who think those stories are good for them. This is the country they're trying to remake. That is you're finding the limits. This administration might be listening too much to people who agree with it and agree with the project, and too little to the people who took a chance on him but did not expect this level of crackdown. They did not expect complete erasure of everyone in the country, maybe overstaying a visa but then obeying the law. That's why Democrats feel a little more confident this week than they did last week. Last week it was, we're going to put sombreros on your heads with AI. This week that's clearly not clicking the same way because of these images we're talking about.
Terrible. Semaphor's Dave Weigel and The Atlantic's Frank Foer. Thank you both. And coming up on Morning Joe, we'll be joined by 6-time Emmy Award winner Maya Rudolph, along with actor and comedian Joel Kim Booster. They'll preview season 3 of their acclaimed comedy, Loot. That is straight ahead on Morning Joe.